In this video, I'll show you how to remove and replace a front wheel bearing hub on a Nissan Maxima. Remove the tire, 21mm socket. So remove the caliper bracket with the caliper attached to it from the knuckle. You have two mounting bolts, one here and one there, and it's a 22mm socket. I'm going to use a 1/2-inch gun and remove both of these bolts. Just grab your caliper and slide it right off the rotor. Now I'm going to use a caliper hook like this, and I'm going to hook it up. Now you can take that caliper, get your caliper hook, put it right through the threaded bolt, and I'm going to pull it way up and hang it from the spring on that strut. Now it's out of the way. Grab your rotor and take it off. Now you're going to take the cotter pin off the axle nut. I'm going to discard it, throw it out, and get a new one when we go to replace it. Take the castle off, and it's a 32mm socket. I'm going to take that axle nut off. $17mm socket. I have a little 3/8 extension, like a 2-inch extension, 3/8 gun, and remove the bolts that you can get to. There's one. See if we can get to the other side. Now with that axle nut off, you can move the axle out a little bit so you can really get that socket on there. There's 4 of these mounting bolts. Now I'm going to go to the driver's side, turn the wheel so that I can access this one easily. With a 10mm socket, we're going to remove the ABS sensor too. That way it doesn't get damaged when the hub comes out. Now, just grab it and pull it right out. I'm going to put it up here. And the last hub bolt is right back in here. I'm going to put that extension on it. So before I apply a hammer to this hub, I like to put the axle nut just a couple turns on. That way if it flies off, it doesn't fall down on the ground and hit somebody or myself. So I'll just take a hammer and you're just going to whack it. Now you can take that nut off and then just slide it right off. Put that right the way it came off, because if you put it on backwards, you're going to know, because the rotor will make tons of noise. Now we can feel this bearings all binding up. We're going to clean this area up and then reinstall. So I'm going to take that plate and just set it right there so I know the exact way it goes. Take a wire brush and I'm going to clean up this aluminum knuckle because I don't want it to have any compromise the new hub. Get all that oxidization out of there. If you want to take a wire wheel to it, feel free. I'm going to clean this up. This little parts cleaner. Make sure there's no dust on that axle. We'll let that dry. So I've cleaned the whole area up, and I like to take like a high temp copper spray, and I'm just going to coat it so that way the steel, when it meets the actual aluminum, doesn't cause oxidization. I'm going to take the new bearing, and it doesn't matter. It can go any way you want. I'm going to put it this way, line up those bolt holes. Get that spindle, start that spindle right through, just like that. You can try to seat it a little bit, but you want to be able to move it, so when you put your first bolt in the back, it's kind of tight back there, but you got to at least put all 4 in and hand tighten them, because you don't want to cross thread these. It's a matter of having to get a whole new one if you strip it. And then just go all the way around and do all 4. Now I hand started all 4. They're in. You can see the thread coming through. They're nice and smooth. Now it's safe to take your air tool and tighten them up. I'm going to go in a crisscross pattern, so that way I know that I'm not going to cause this hub to get cockeyed. So now I'm going to turn the wheel this way so I can access the last top one, tighten it, and then I'll get my torque wrench. So I'm going to tighten up the last one. You can actually see right here and watch the head come through. Now I'll get my torque wrench. So I'm going to torque these also in a crisscross pattern. So I'm going to go up here, then I'm going to go to that one, then this one, turn the wheel and do that one. 65 foot-pounds, 17 millimeter socket. Now go ahead and turn the wheel and get to the other side. Now I'm going to put the ABS sensor back in. Just grab it, line it right up, let it seat itself, put that bolt on, hand start it, 10 millimeter socket, and bottom it out. 10 millimeter socket, I'm going to torque it to 112 inch-pounds, or like around 8 foot-pounds. So now I'm going to replace the axle nut. It's a 32 millimeter. We're just going to snug it up before we torque it. Now I'm going to turn the wheel and turn it all the way to the right. So we're going to install the rotor. I like to, at this point, just spin it, only because we did touch the backing plate. And if you don't hear any noise, you're all set, ready to go. You can put a lug nut on if you want this rotor to stay straight for you, but we're going to just take this out. Make sure that flex hose, front cable, brake hose is not spun and twisted. Line up the brake pads on the rotor. Push it down. I'm going to grab one mounting bolt and mount it on the top. So line up that caliper bracket with that knuckle, put that top bolt through, see if you can get it to center, and then start threading it in by hand. Now I can get the bottom bolt and do the same. Now that's a 22 millimeter socket. We're going to snug it up, then we'll torque it. .22 millimeter socket, and the torque is 107 foot-pounds. So now I'm just going to straighten the wheel out, and then I'm going to lower the vehicle so I can torque that hub nut. I like to put a pry bar. I'll just line it up with the wheel studs, and I'll get my torque wrench. The torque for the hub nut is 129 foot-pounds. Now we can put on our little castle cap, put a new cotter pin down through, grab your cutters, fold that over, and cut the excess off. Reinstall your tire. To start the lug nuts by hand. .21 millimeter, snug them up. Notice I do it in a crisscross pattern. Now we can lower it and torque it. 21mm socket, 83 foot-pounds, and we're going to torque them in a star pattern. Double check. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.